What's up, my friends? Welcome to the Kristof Lewis podcast, Create Your Career. This is Contemplation with Kristof, number 119, episode number 281. It's Thursday. It's the best day of the week, but not because it's Thursday. It's the best day of the week because it's another beautiful day to be alive. Every day is the best day of the freaking week. I genuinely hope that you are having a good day. There is a lot of madness happening in the world, and I'm not here to repeat everything that's going on nor talk about it, but with COVID and all the protesting, no matter what you believe, it's a lot for somebody to emotionally handle. No matter who you are, what side you're on, why are you even on a side, understand that you don't have to pick a side. You can pick bits and pieces from all over and create your own individuality. Weird concept, right? Don't think that you have to be completely opposed to somebody. Make up your own mind, do your own diligence, get your homework done, and be your own unique you. Not here to talk politics, not here to talk protesting, not here to talk the sickness, which is COVID. I'm here to talk about some other things. Remember, you can find this podcast on all podcast apps. You can head over and rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts and iTunes, and head over to YouTube, subscribe. Both the conversations and the contemplations are on there now. Thank you very much for subscribing and sharing with friends. You can head over to kristoflewis.com/podcast, and you can find me on Instagram at Kristof Lewis. Currently and still reading Ego's the Enemy by Riding Holiday. He's gotten a plug from me so many times because I've been reading this book for now multiple weeks, and I have no problem with that. If this is your first time here, I did a book reading challenge where I read a book a week for a year, and I'm just taking my time reading this. However, I feel as if it's dragging on, so what I've done is set aside a couple days a week to just get a half an hour in. Nothing crazy, not holding myself to it too hard. It's not like every day, but it's like, hey, you need to get 30 minutes in this week 3 times. That's it. So whatever days you want to do it, but do it. It's like having flexibility in your goals, still create your goals in a way that you're going to achieve them. This week's conversation was conversation 162 with Daryl Stinson. Daryl Stinson is a pretty interesting guy, very energetic and genuine guy, and a TEDx speaker. Definitely recommend checking that one out. And today I'm going to speak with you about fear is my compass. So let's find true north and get into it. And when I was in the military, I did a lot of land navigation by myself with teams. Super fun. One of my favorite times. The instructors cannot yell at you when you're out in the middle of nowhere for hours at a time, and you just can't beat that. Plus, nature is awesome, and I highly recommend you get outside. And it's been so hard to do as I record this in June of 2020, and it would be really interesting listening to these at a later point in my life, knowing what was going on now. But if you can get outside, I highly recommend it. We're here at the beach, Virginia Beach, and the beaches have opened up, and going back to the beach has been so nice. We went down to the Outer Banks the other weekend. It's so nice to go down to North Carolina and just see people, eat food, hang out outside, fresh air. The salt water, salty air, all of the above is so good. Now, all of that is that sweet goodness. Oh, so sweet. It's so nice. Things are opening up. It's a crazy time, but I found myself worrying and stressing about a lot of things. And I got to thinking, worrying is natural. It's going to happen. Stressing is natural. It's going to happen. A lot of it can be self-induced stress, which I've talked about quite a bit for the last 2.5 years. But you don't want to get caught in a scenario or in your life to where you are perpetually worrying. I would substitute the word worry with fear. Hence the title of this, Fear is My Compass. So instead of worrying, perpetually in fear about life, stressed out about life, leverage the fear of not being able to do something to increase your current output and direction. It is a compass. Fear is my compass. So what do I mean by that? So this coincides with the good stress. Fear is my compass, and I want to articulate this to you right now, because if you're scared to do something, if you're scared to try something, if you're scared to speak up in a meeting, if you're scared to push yourself, if you're scared to invest and you're scared to talk to that person, if you're scared to do anything in your life, it's a good indicator that your fear compass is pointed in your true north, that you are indeed in the right direction. You are headed in the right direction. I literally I've been practicing rewiring my brain. And when I get scared, when I get stressed, when I get worried, I think about the fear is my compass thing that I've been telling myself for the last couple months. Is that, why am I in fear? Let's break it down. Okay. I don't want to speak up in this meeting, especially where a lot of people are remote. I'm remote working now. I don't want to speak up in this meeting because of my ego. What is my ego? My ego wants me to seem confident, awesome, knowledgeable. And I don't want to speak up in this meeting right now and say what I know needs to be said because I don't want to look like a fool. My fear is my compass in this scenario is I just need to do that. Your compass is going to guide you to your true north. And in this scenario, fear is that I don't want to do this. So let it guide you. If, like I always say at the end, I challenge you to do this, or I challenge you to do that. So right now, in the midst of this, the next time you're in fear of doing something, stop and in that moment, rewire your brain that fear is my compass. I am scared to do this. Stop and think, why am I scared to do this? And instead think about, this is guiding me to my true north of growth. Fear is my compass and will help me become that individual, that person that I want to be. I will be more articulate in my speeches, in my work, in the meetings that I have to have. I will invest that money that I'm scared to invest because I've done my due diligence on what that is. I will be able to talk to this guy or girl because screw it. If they don't like me for who I am, then it doesn't matter. But let fear instead leverage it and let it be a tool for good. Let it guide you. Don't let it consume you. Own it. Break it apart. Analyze it. I keep on saying, why am I feeling this way? Why am I worried? Why am I stressed? Why am I in fear? A lot of these things you cannot control. There's a lot of things that we fear that we can't control. On a primal instinct, I am about to get eaten by this lion. I am scared. Why am I scared? Because I don't want to die. So then you got to do some things to not get eaten by the lion. But in this sense, we don't typically have to worry about that stuff nowadays. But the other things in our lives that we typically do fear that are relevant to at least our lives in most of the world that is able to listen to this kind of podcast, we are able to at least stop, take a few deep breaths, and try to analyze that. I would like to get away, and I would encourage you to get away from always just acting, but understanding and taking a deep breath. And before you act, analyze and then be able to execute. I don't think that blank space, like white space, is a bad idea. Even in a meeting with multiple people, I don't answer immediately. I take my time and I process. But honestly, it's only through having this podcast and recording 280 episodes or whatever it is now and speaking to 169 people at the time of this recording that I've had the confidence to have the white space to be able to analyze myself, analyze my fear, my stress, and my worry, and be able to leverage all of those as a compass to dive right in. So it's time for a recap. Use fear as a compass. Fear is my compass. I would love for fear to be your compass too. It's all about rewiring your brain, stopping, taking a deep breath, and figuring out why it is that you are indeed in fear of whatever it is. Why am I worried? Why am I stressed out? Stop, analyze, think. Don't be afraid about taking the time to analyze yourself and be honest with yourself and use that fear as a compass to drive you in the direction. If fear is something okay, we're literally thinking about a compass right now. We're moving the compass around, we're moving our body around, the needle's moving around, then we find true north and the needle is aligned towards that and we hammer home towards that. So if you're moving around, you're moving left to right, you're doing things and you're not stressed at all, but you keep on looking at the things that are making you scared, then stop and point your needle exactly towards that and just do it. A lot of times, most of the time, if not all of the time, the way I overcome my fear, my anxiety, my stress is by action. Action eliminates fear. So you leverage fear as your compass and attack it head on and get it done. All right, my friends, thank you so much for listening. Short and sweet yet again. And I hope that you at least work on it. It can take a while. Like I had a podcast tonight. He said, how do you be more confident? And one of the things he was talking about was, first thing he said was plan on it taking 1 to 5 years to build up confidence. Yeah. And he also talked about analyzing yourself quite often to be able to be more confident. And I think it definitely coincides with conquering fear and leveraging fear as your compass in life and understanding that you can change, that you can rewire your brain and you can see fear as something as why am I fear? Maybe it's a good thing because I'm trying to push myself to do better and then be able to leverage that. It takes the time to analyze it and to push through and conquer that fear with action. So thanks again for listening. Remember, you can find me on Instagram at Kristof Lewis. Head over over to iTunes and Apple Podcasts and rate 5 stars. Tell me what you like. And thanks for listening. But please don't only listen. You have to apply the stuff. You can listen to all the best advice, the best podcasts, read all of the best books. But if you don't apply it, it doesn't mean anything. Like I said, my challenge to you is to, once you're done with this podcast, leverage fear as your compass. If you're scared, if you're worried, if you're stressed about something, if you're constantly in fear about something, stop and think about why. Typically, not always, typically that fear is conquered by diving straight into it. So leverage fear as your true north and conquer it head on. Have the best day ever. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it with your family and friends, and I'll catch you next week. See ya.